In the 250 division, finishing in third, riding for Monster Energy, Star Racing Yamaha, Colt Nichols. Finishing in second, riding for Monster Energy, Star Racing Yamaha, Dylan Ferrandis. And your winner, riding for Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, Adam Cincerillo. In the 450s, finishing in third, riding for Red Bull KTM, Marvin Muscan. Finishing in second, riding for Red Bull KTM, Cooper Webb. And your winner, riding for Monster Energy Kawasaki, Eli Tomac. Congrats, guys. New venue, a lot to it with the snow, the elevation, dry track, pretty healthy crowd too. Just kind of take us through the entire experience, press day today and through your main event, just how the event went for you. And start with the 250s first, Colt.
Yeah, it was great, really. Press day got canceled, so we didn't get to do any riding, but it was good. I got to come in early and adjust to the altitude a little bit. It usually kind of messes with me. I get sick every year we go to Lakewood, so I was really happy that did not happen this year. But yeah, it was definitely different. Snow during the practices, and then track got really hard. And the track was pretty simple, but it made it really technical the way the dirt was. So you kind of had to be on your toes tonight. But overall, can't complain. Third place, I'm happy. Just needed to start a little better, but it's all good.
Dylan.
Was not a really good weekend. I was a new venue, okay, but I mean, the altitude and the cold was not really fun to ride. So for me, I didn't really enjoy this race, especially because the cold was really cold, and when you ride it was not easy to get warm when you ride. So I struggling a little bit with that, and that's the same for everybody. But yeah, for me it was a little bit of a problem. But yeah, the place was beautiful, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, coming from, obviously we had an altitude, kind of race at Salt Lake last year, and I didn't really remember how much slower my bike was. And I went out for practice, and I had walked the track and looked at that far rhythm section after the start. I'm like, okay, 3 out, table over, single on the table. And then I went out there, I'm like, dude, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to double through here. So it just made it a little bit more difficult in that sense. And like Colt said, it was not a very technical track, but the dirt got really hard and really slick, and I heard some people coming into the race kind of thinking it was going to be a little bit ruddy. I don't know if that's how it was back in the day, but yeah, it made it difficult. But luckily, I had a good night and feel pretty good, comfortable in those conditions. But can't say enough good things about the crowd too. The crowd was unreal. So shout out to you guys.
Marvin.
Yeah, coming into this weekend, we knew it was going to be tough on the bikes and engines and all that. So it was definitely a challenge, and also the conditions. Obviously, we did track walk, and dirt looks unreal, and it actually got really hard pack. And you could see even on TV, it got super slick. So it was definitely tough, and I gave my best, and I'm definitely glad I got a good start and a better feeling in the main and land on the podium, because it was not it in the heat race. So gave my best, and but definitely looking for a better weekend.
Yeah, it was the bikes were, like these guys said, were a big thing for us. Hitting first gear on the couple of the places, and then when it started snowing, it was almost one of those things where you just kind of had to laugh it off and go be a kid in the snow and go ride. But luckily it didn't get too sketchy, and luckily stopped. But yeah, it was obviously really hard packed and really slippery. The whoops were really dry and slick, so you had to have a good throttle control. But yeah, it was overall, like, the crowd was really into it, which was cool, and a lot of good racing. So overall, it was a good weekend for me.
Eli, I'll add on for you. How was that last lap? The crowd.
Like I said up there, like that was the loudest race I've ever been in, like ever. probably like double the loud level. So so much fun. Gosh, I mean, it wouldn't have been Denver without a little bit of snow, right? So we even rode in some hail on Wednesday. I'm like, oh, it's probably gonna be that in Denver too. But yeah, I mean, what a cool day for us. Luckily the track, stayed good there even after the moisture fell. So overall, just a pretty cool weekend.
Steve Giberson with Vital MX. Eli, you had a really interesting heat race, and then talk about the main a little bit. Just the speed you had in there was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I was making good time in the whoops. That seemed like a good spot, and even made a good run in one of the 90s there, the second 90 there. Like probably the first time I've ever made a pass in a 90. But yeah, it was just, you had to go for it really to get around. I mean, some of the spots were a little bit tough. You kind of had to single file in, but just had to be aggressive to make the pass.
And Adam, you during the main event, you had quite a bit of patience in there. Talk about following Michael early in the main there.
Yeah, man, he was riding really good. He's had a lot of speed since kind of around Seattle time, I noticed. I think I've got it behind him a couple times, and looks like he's riding with some confidence. He's a good young rider, and for me, it's a tough situation because, for one, I wasn't looking behind me. I didn't know where anybody was, if I was going to get past, if I had somebody pressuring me or whatever. I was just kind of focused on trying to pick a spot, and, Michael, as he should, was racing me hard, and he's really got nothing to lose up there. And for me, I'm like, the worst thing that can happen is like both of us end up on the plywood. Like I'm just trying to stay off the plywood, stay on the track. And Nick Way and I kind of discussed before the race that my best passing spot would be to kind of cut down after that first rhythm, after the start corner, and kind of pump that lane and get to the inside. And I tried that like 4 times, dude, and my heart rate had to be 195 every time. I was just pegged. So it was difficult. It was difficult to kind of stay patient and not, because you're not really knowing what's going on behind you. I felt like I had to go, but he was riding really well, and I got by him, and I tried to, you get by somebody after you've been battling like that for a long time, your heart rate's kind of high. You're trying to kind of take a break, take a couple breaths, and I took a big breath over the triple, and man, he ran it right in on me, going, as he should. I was kind of chilling, and he luckily didn't put me in a tough spot, so I can laugh about it now. But yeah, he was riding great.
Dark Side Moto X Pod Show. Dylan, you talked about this being a tough race for you, not that much fun, weather wasn't good, but you still got second. How does that build your confidence a little bit, knowing that it was not a great weekend as far as the environment, but still good results?
Yeah, no, we can say it's good result. I was 5 points behind, and now I'm 8, so no, we can say it was good result. I should have won this race if I won the championship, and now I'm losing points. So, I mean, in Vegas, we saw on the last East-West showdown that AC and I was the faster. So if it's the same, it's going to be tough for me to play the championship. So I hope to be a little bit lucky, and we see. We all know in Vegas everything can happen. So I will do everything I can for challenge for this championship, and we see. But yeah, no, I mean, the result is definitely not what we expect tonight.
All right, Cooper, Marvin, teammates going into this year, there were certain expectations from the fans and the media of what was going to happen. You guys are 1 and 2, had some run-ins at different rounds. I have to think that at the Baker's Factory during the week, there's some tension. Even if you guys don't show, it's got to be really tough to not let that come out. No? Go ahead, Marvin.
Oh my gosh, no, but I mean, we talked about it before and the last weekend, so we have a job to do, and yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, I got beat, but hey, I've been there before. It's called racing, and we have a good program, and yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not easy to be battling like that, and then be at the practice track, but Alden is a great trainer and a good person as well. We have Zach, that is a great person as well, and we have good mechanics there. I got Mathilde, my wife, so there's a good atmosphere for sure. So and if you don't trust me, you can come over one time.
I think it's you guys that like the beef. You guys beef it up.
Jim Kimball, I have a question for Cooper. Cooper, for a while, maybe the first quarter of the race or the main event, you were kind of stuck with a group of riders. There was a lot of back and forth and stuff like that. But man, you got through that and you caught Marvin. I mean, you rode really impressive and kind of talk about salvaging what could have been a worse result.
Yeah, it was tough. I was right there with Eli, and he made his passes real quick, and pretty much, like he said, you had to make it count and make it stick. The track was difficult to pass, and I just didn't do that. I played a little nice and was trying to do some passes, and they just weren't working. And yeah, I really lost some ground there, and then finally was able to kind of make the move, and that's when I felt like I was clicking. I just felt like we were all in a train kind of getting held up. So that was the only downfall of this track. It was a little difficult to pass, without being aggressive. So, but yeah, I need to be better. And but yeah, it was good to break away from that and charge forward.
And Eli, I've watched you a lot in your career, seen you at a lot of races, win a lot of races. This, in my mind at least, is probably one of your best races that I've seen. How do you feel? Does it rank up pretty good with all your wins?
I mean, it was good. Like, I felt good the whole main. I didn't feel like I was, like just hanging on by the end of it. So, but it was just the atmosphere is what made it so cool. Every win feels pretty dang good. And I got to the lead, before half. So it wasn't like a total barn burner, but like the atmosphere was just so cool. I mean, it'd be rad if we had that every weekend.
Just a quick question for Colt. Colt, you're a little behind in points right now. You had that one bad race where you crashed, but you held the red plate for a long time. And I mean, this was a really good year for you, right?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, to some extent. I can look at it now and be a little bummed being 40-something points behind. But where we were going into San Diego was great and probably not on everybody's radar to do that. So, I mean, that kind of is what it is. But it started off really, really good and just had a little bit of a slump there. San Diego didn't really go my way, and Atlanta was a tough race, and then the DNF in Seattle really took it out of me. So I was ready to fight for it at Seattle, and just really didn't go my way. But just it's circumstance. I put myself in bad positions, didn't start great, didn't do things right. So overall, though, I got to be happy. At the beginning of the season, I wanted to start better, which I feel like I've done, aside from tonight. But I wanted to start better. I wanted to be on the podium a lot, and been able to do that. So I can hang my hat on that. But yeah, it's just live and learn. I think next year we'll be a little more prepared and understand what it's like to be in these positions a little more and be able to fight for it.
Jason Wygant from Racer X. Eli, last week you said it was a good race for you, obviously, but you weren't sure unless you start getting a couple that you had maybe turned a corner. And then today we had a pretty wide variety of conditions. You went from snow to dry and hard pack. So does that give you some confidence that you had a pretty big window of conditions and it seemed like you were going fast regardless?
Absolutely. I mean, like my concern was like getting through the 20 minutes, and feeling like myself. So to do that 2 weeks in a row is good.
And you were tripling into that big rhythm lane and even jumping onto the table, which not a lot of guys are doing, especially in the main. And you were still doing it pretty late. Were you doing that because the crowd was really going nuts in that section, or was that easy for you to do that?
It wasn't easy, and gosh, at the start, you'd hit the middle rut to do it. And then later on, I was able to come down a rut and make it. But that was my time or my spot to make up good time. I mean, from we saw that in the last qualifying practice. Like that was probably, I don't know, a half second or 3/10. So that was a spot to make some ground.
You're 18 points down with 2 races to go. Do you think any more about title now than where you were a couple weeks ago when you were further back, or is it still too far to really think about that at this point?
I just doing what I'm doing, and as long as I'm within that 26 points, and then we're doing our work.
Marvin, the last couple of laps Cooper was able to get you. Do you think he stepped up, or were you struggling there the last, say, 5 or 6 minutes?
No, I think I was struggling a little bit, and like I said, I mean, the conditions were definitely tough, and I tried my best, but I was losing sometimes in a couple sections of the track, and I feel like I had some decent laps, but I was not able to do that the whole main. So unfortunately.
Adam, so there's always rumors in the pits. You hear stories. I want to know if there's any truth. Is there any truth to you already signed a 450 deal for next year?
No. There's no truth to that. No.
No truth at all. Okay, fair enough.